Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Talkin Kop. It is Wednesday, the 21st of August. I'm Gav. That's Ashley. That's Chris. We're going to have a look at Liverpool's squad. We're going to have a look at what Liverpool needs. We're also going to have a look at other squads around the Premier League. What do they need? What have they done? Who will be looking for players which by this time next week? I reckon a fair few of them. And look, we'll talk around some names like the Joe Gomez, Mamardashvili. I'm getting really good at saying his name, by the way, so we better sign for Liverpool. And anything else you want to talk about in the chat. Chris, you're very welcome. Ashley, you're very welcome. Chris, I'm going to start with you. I'm going to go straight in. We're looking at Liverpool's squad, and it'd be easy to go midfield, it'd be easy to go defence, but let's go to goalkeepers because Alisson Becker is there. We have Quivin Kelleher. We have Yaros, and of course we have got Mamardashvili. That is being linked heavily with Liverpool. The talk was yesterday that Liverpool had agreed somewhere in the region of 40 million, and I don't know whether that's euros, pounds, lira, yen. I'm not too sure exactly what the currency is, but the talk was that it's been agreed that he will stay at Valencia. He will remain a year at the Mestalla, and then come to Liverpool next summer. The fee is 40 million. Bournemouth have been kind of phased out with this whole process. Nothing's being said in it though, Chris, but it's still a move that's sitting there, nothing's been announced. Chris, I'll say nothing's been announced.
No, I mean it's a sensible move if it goes ahead. I can't really get excited. It's a bit boring because I'm a bit like, yeah, great. We might see his keeper in a year, 2 years time.
He's a really good goalkeeper though.
Yeah, doesn't really help me this season, so that's why I'm a bit like, great, but I would have prioritised perhaps getting some lads in this summer first before you worry about a lad for next 2 seasons. But I think it's sensible. I just think it's quite underwhelming at the moment when you've seen nothing else come in. So maybe if we'd got a couple in already and then that was done, you go, oh yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. A lot of people are in the chat. You're very, very welcome to the chat. A lot of people are talking about the players being sold and stuff like that. Just to let you know, I think I speak for all three of us when I say the amount of players going out, you're kind of looking, oh, that's interesting. And another list of names will come out tonight where they're expected to leave by next Friday. We'll see if that happens. Just to let you know, us three think Liverpool should sign players. Okay? They 100% should sign players. So before anybody comes in and goes, oh, why aren't you talking about Liverpool? You should be signing players. We absolutely agree with you. We absolutely agree with you. And we have 9 days, I think. Is it 9 days until the window closes? So just
8 days and an hour.
8 days and 1 hour. So there you go.
Lovely.
So there you go. Just to let you know, we agree with you. They should sign players. I'm with you on it. It's not exciting me to sign him because we won't see him for at least a year. But I do think, if Liverpool probably had a player or two in by now and this was happening, people would be going, brilliant move. Absolutely brilliant move. Great goalkeeper. We're not too sure on Alisson. He's out of contract in 27. Do Liverpool cash in 26? That sort of thing, whatever it might be. A really good move. As part of a transfer window, it's a really good move. But as its sole kind of incoming / he's not really arriving for a year, a lot of people are going, well, look, yeah, okay, but where's the rest? And that's absolutely fine. But actually, just on it, we've spoken quite a bit about the whole Alisson thing, and it's more being spoken around Kelleher, I think, than Alisson at the moment. But I was going to say Liverpool need this move to go through. It's by the by now. Liverpool need more to go through than that, but it is a good move by Liverpool. It is a really highly rated goalkeeper that they will get for less than £40 million. And if he turns out to be the successor to Alisson, you've done good business there. Just taking it on its own, you've done good business.
Yeah, I mean, when the topic of opportune signings came up, this is kind of what I had in mind. But for me, this is like a cherry on top of the cake signing rather than like the signing that I'm expecting to get our window kicked off. And if this is kind of what we're holding on to, like to save our window, I don't think that's a success. I think obviously he is a great keeper for a great price in the window, and they're obviously seeing an opportunity that they want to pounce on. And if they can get it over the line, that's fantastic. But it's also a position where we're probably more stocked than anywhere else on the pitch. So for the time being, it's not really going to make a direct impact in this particular season.
Yeah, it's not, but like I said, if the way I look at it is, if Alisson goes for another season and in the summer of 2025 says, look lads, I want to go and play in Spain, or I want to go and play in Italy, or I want to go and play for Bayern Munich, or I want to go back to Brazil, we know as a fan base what's going to happen. Alisson's going to want to leave. Liverpool are going to want to get the best deal for him. And all of a sudden, Alisson will be literally walking out the door at the exit and people will be going, where is our fucking goalkeeper? Why haven't you got him? So it kind of gives you a clue as to where they are with Alisson, and they're acting on it now. And they're leaving him there in Valencia for a year. The talk was he was going to go to Bournemouth for 2 seasons. But it looks like he's going to stay at Valencia for a year and then come to Liverpool. So it is a bit of forward planning. It just gives you an eye on what's happening. Maybe around Alisson and maybe more so around Kelleher. I think Kelleher might stay for another season and then he'll go. He'll get a good deal. He'll get a good move with a year left on his deal next year, because I think he's contract till 2026. So, they're probably saying to themselves, look, we could get really good money now. Let's get good money in a year's time. And we go from there. That's that. Now, I think the key to this summer, that's the wrong thing to say because people are going to fucking lose their head when I say things like that. I think the biggest thing happening at the moment is the Joe Gomez thing, and we'll get on to Sepp van den Berg in a minute. There's a lot of things being mentioned with him. Kev says there, Brentford agree a deal in principle for Liverpool for Sepp van den Berg. It's on Sky, no fee mentioned. The fee at the moment, the fee that was being mentioned was 20 million plus 5 million add-ons. But we get to him in a minute. The Joe Gomez thing, Chris, we're talking about Harvey Blair going to Portsmouth for 300,000. We're talking about Bobby Clark, 10 million to RB Salzburg. We're talking about Fabio Carvalho going to Brentford for 21, 22 million. And there's these players leaving, and as I said, another list was put out today because they weren't in the 21s or something like that. And we're kind of saying to ourselves, yeah, okay, he might get a game, he might see League Cup, he might not. But if Joe Gomez leaves the football club, Chris, right, there's no excuse for letting Joe Gomez leave this football club for whether it's 45, 50, 55 million, wherever it might be, and not putting someone in place.
No,
it's just simple. It's just simple. Like, it's...
Otherwise, you leave yourself with 3 centre-backs. We had that disaster a few years ago where we took the risk of 3 centre-backs.
Did we have 4 and Fabinho was the 5th?
Yeah, no, we literally had...
No, Fabinho was 4th.
Oh, Fabinho was the 4th. What a man.
We had Matip, Gomez and Van Dijk.
Yeah.
And all three were gone by January.
Yeah. It was the crack. It wasn't, but it was,
And then we signed Kabak on the last day, and he lasted 2 months and he got injured. Yeah. So it went well for...
And the other guy, I think he plays with Rangers now.
I've never seen him. So
he literally came in and Klopp went, what was his name?
He just...
Ben Davies.
Ben Davies, that's right. He came in and people were like, some pass with the ball, this fella, and then never seen again.
Never seen him.
And he's one of our Rangers. Yeah, come on.
Yeah, so I think you need at least 4 centre-backs anyway.
Yeah.
Because we've got 2 full-backs either side. You can argue you probably would like an upgraded left-back, but if we bring a centre-back in to replace Joe Gomez, that's 8 defenders. Normally 8 should be enough for a season.
Mm-hmm.
And there is an element, and I think people won't like this, but maybe also Slot and his team think they can actually reduce the injuries we've been getting because of their style of play and different medical team they've got. Maybe they also think some of these injuries we'll get last year we think are avoidable. And this is we trust our method. So again, that's maybe why he's looking at a slightly smaller squad, because he believes he can go with a small squad because he'll reduce the injuries. That's a risk, and he's never done it in England, but that might be the way he's thinking. But I think Liverpool need at least, ideally, I think they need a minimum 3. I don't see him doing 3 before next Friday, but I think they need 3.
Yeah, I agree with you. I fully agree with you. I think, you see, I'll actually come in now, but my thing on this is that I think he's definitely looked and he's went and gone with Robertson and Tsimikas, right? Which may surprise a few. I think he's gone with Trent and Bradley. Okay, and I think you'll see rotation within games of those positions. You've seen it at the weekend. I think you'll see it again. And then I think he's looking and he's saying to himself, Gomez, Kwanzaa, Konate, Van Dijk. And if he wants to do that, that's his outlay. That's his outlook, sorry. That's fine. But if you let Joe Gomez out, you have to bring somebody in. You can't, like Joe Gomez. Joe Gomez is no longer now for me a left back or right back at Liverpool. He's nailed his colours to the mast with they're me fullbacks, bum, them four are me fullbacks. So if Joe Gomez goes, you know, you have to bring somebody in, and you have to be ahead of the curve here. You know, Brian says he can't see Gomez moving now. Apparently Newcastle and Palace have different targets in mind. I reckon he stays. That would, you see, Brian, that would have been fine with me. But when you go to play our first game of the season, and the first thing that comes out with the team news is Joe Gomez isn't travelling because he's considering his options. That's bad news. That's just bad news. Yeah. And even if he doesn't go, you have a player there that apparently Liverpool tried to sell to Newcastle and then stayed out of a league game because he was assessing his options. What sort of mindset is he in? And what sort of mindset is the manager in towards him?
But even if Palace sell Gahey to Newcastle and they've got a replacement for Gahey, did he get a replacement for Lockham Anderson, who's gone to Fulham?
Yeah.
Who's actually probably a bigger loss because he was basically the captain.
But I think if Anderson's going to Fulham, I think they'll try hang on to Gahey and bring in. I thought he would have tried to bring in Gomez to play alongside him. But listen, Ashley, Joe Gomez, you know, if Joachim Anderson has gone for 30, Joe Gomez is probably worth, I think, north of that. I think if Liverpool are accepting 45, as rumoured from Newcastle, 45 is probably the number. But again, if Liverpool are leaving that deal there because they're going off and sorting a centre back, you have to hope they're doing that. You know, I'm not against having smaller squads and whatever he feels he wants to do. He's the manager of Liverpool Football Club. But you can't let Joe Gomez go and then say, yeah, we'll just make do with what we have. It simply doesn't work.
No, well, especially now that you have the news that Sepp's going. So, I mean, that was sort of the only... there's a phone call.
Oh, there's Richard Hughes ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, but with Gomez, like, there was a kind of fear in my head that they were going to let Gomez go and they were going to let Sepp stay as the fourth center back, and I don't think that would have worked out for us at all. But the problem I have now is the narrative that we're sort of hinging our summer on Joe Gomez, and I don't think it's fair on the player. Like, if, for example, he doesn't go, what does that do to the fan base and their perspective of Joe Gomez? Like, are we all going to be upset that he didn't go out the door after being a loyal servant of the club for 10 years?
No, I don't think it is that. I think it's. I don't think the summer hinges on Joe Gomez. What I'm saying is that we've been speaking about for the last how long a time about bringing in another centre half before Joe Gomez was mentioned. When we looked at it, we thought Joe Gomez was a utility player. You had Kanate injury prone. You've Quansah really young. Virgil's not getting any younger. We did take Virgil out of the side a couple of times in the Europa League to give him a rest at the early part of last season. What we were saying was we were looking at a centre back coming in, a replacement for Matip, right? And if the outlook of the club is no, we're putting Joe Gomez back in as a centre half, that's your Matip replacement, we're in there, that's absolutely fine. It's not that the summer hinges on it. It's the fact that if you're going to put Joe Gomez in there, great, go ahead and do it. That's what you want to do it. But if you're going to sell that player, you have to have something in line. And the thing is, you probably can't bring in a Joe Gomez type. You have to probably bring in someone that's really going to challenge. And the reason being is because if you look at the injury record, the age on different scales of Quansah and Van Dijk, you will need a really challenging centre-back to go in there to look to play alongside Virgil or play when Virgil doesn't play, whatever way it is. It's not that it hinges on it. It's that fair enough if you're going to go with those four, but you can't let one of them go and not bring in somebody. And what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to let Gomez go and you're not going to bring someone in, why sell Sepp van den Berg? Just put him in there if you feel like he's a fourth choice. Just put him there. That's my thing on it. So I'm hoping that the silence out of this and the fact Liverpool haven't mentioned Joe Gomez is that Liverpool, if they sell Joe Gomez, will quickly move to bring in a centre back. That's where I think it should be. You just can't sell him. You can't sell him and leave yourself short.
I don't like what's coming out of the club. Like, if you're going to come out and say that Joe Gomez isn't part of your plans or that he's looking for another club. Same thing with Endo. That, he's not the six that you're looking for. Like, you can't come back 2 weeks later or 1 week later and try to sell it to the fans that, oh, just kidding, he's training fine now. Like, we weren't looking elsewhere. I think it's the line that we're being sold that bugs me so much. And we heard it with Endo, where all of a sudden it's like, oh no, Endo's training fantastically now. And I don't know. I'd rather they just. I'm glad there's radio silence all of a sudden, because it seems like whatever is coming out of the club, the PR isn't hitting right. And it hasn't been hitting right all summer. So I'd rather they just keep it to themselves, and then we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I think you see that my thing on it is that if we get to whatever Chris said, 8 days and 1 hour, or just it might be a little bit more than that, Chris, is it?
11. Well, it's 11 o'clock on Friday.
11 o'clock on Friday. So would that be 8 days and 23 hours?
Oh, something like that. It's not enough. Basically, it's not a lot of time.
Well, it's 22 hours more than you said. Anything can be done in them times. But what I'm saying is, if we get,
not judged by current standards, no.
But if we get to that time next week and Joe Gomez hasn't left the club and we haven't brought in a centre back, you know, then you're looking and you're going, the club have decided and they're a four and that's what they want to do. You can agree or you won't agree with it. It's completely up to yourselves as individuals whether you agree or don't, but that's what we're looking at. But there has to be movement incoming to Liverpool if Joe Gomez is leaving. You cannot turn and sell Joe Gomez and then go, yeah, but we're grand, look. And that's what annoyed me about the Zubimendi thing. Like, we want Zubimendi. And then when Zubimendi didn't happen, it was like, oh, look at all these great players we have over here. And we're like, stop fucking messing. They weren't great players. Not that they weren't great players, but they weren't exactly what you wanted. 3 days ago when Zubimendi was telling you he wanted to come to Liverpool.
And if Bajcetic and Morton are leaving, which is the rumour is Bajcetic on loan, which he probably does need the minutes, to be fair, because he's missed a year of football, and Morton's getting sold, you're down to 6 recognised centre mids. That feels a little light.
Yeah, well, look, if you go, if and we're talking about the squad, so if you go into midfield, right, we're looking realistically now at, McAllister, Gravenberch, Szoboszlai, Jones, Elliott,
Endo.
And I don't think Endo should. I think Endo's as good as advertisement for him, for Liverpool's football, as I am for fucking going to the gym, right? It doesn't work, right? Look at me. I don't go to the gym. Look at Endo. He doesn't play football like Liverpool want to. Do you get me? So I don't know if Endo could be considered. I actually think, even if you're keeping Endo, I still think you need to sign a midfielder. And Liverpool Football Club think they should sign a midfielder. And I don't know where that midfielder comes from. I've seen, is it Ederson that plays for Atlanta? That name's going around. A few people still think that Zubimendi may happen because he's
Rabiot's the latest name that keeps floating around.
Who's the latest?
Rabiot.
Oh, Rabiot, yeah, but his man's mad. His mother is off our rocker. It's mental. So, I don't think we can be there with that. But in midfield, Chris, there has to be a midfielder signed as well.
There is, but the noise that did come out the club was, because they didn't get Zubimendi, they're going to wait.
For who?
That's the thing. Until the opportunity arises.
What opportunity? Genuinely, what opportunity are you waiting for? Are you waiting for the Real Madrid manager to come out and box fucking Camavinga in the head?
That's what I mean. Is it? Are they waiting for somebody else who they think is the one to come? But
all this.
I don't say agree with it. But this.
I've no problem with not buying just for the sake of buying. But Kev has said it, and I think everyone said it. When you go to look for a player, right? When you go to look for a player in a certain spot in midfield, right, or up front, or wherever, go back to we always mention Salah, don't we? They wanted the other guy. What was his name? The guy, the German guy they wanted before
Brandt.
Salah. Julian Brandt, yeah. I think his name was Julian. And it was like, no, it didn't really happen. They went and he said, look, Salah is our second option. Let's go and get Salah. As a football club, Liverpool can't be going in and going, we've done all the profile and it's Zubimendi and nobody else fits it whatsoever. Simply not true.
No.
Not true.
I think Neil Atkinson made the good point is his concern, and actually it's probably a good way to put it, is Liverpool's pursuit of perfection making them pass up very good. So in other words, you can't find Zubimendi, but you can find a guy who perhaps ticks 7 of the 10 boxes you want. Well, 7
Yeah.
of 10 is very good, which means it's probably something you can work with. And there's also this unknown thing that Liverpool seem to want to do, which is you could do what the likes of Rafa and other managers used to do, which was buy the lad, and after 18 months, fuck him off and buy the bet and bring the better lad in. Do you know what?
Yeah.
Quite a lot of clubs are happy to do that, and do you know what? That's kind of the way of the world.
Yeah, it's for me. It's just a really strange thing that, I'm not against Liverpool going quiet. I'm not against that whatsoever. I think the anything that he leaked with regards to Zuba-Mendy done them no favours whatsoever, and I don't even think the stuff on Mamadou Philly has done them any favours anyway. The one thing, a little tip here, when you're saying that name, say it really quick, so if you get it slightly wrong, it still sounds right. Just there's one for you, free of charge, no charge on that one.
I'll just give him a new name. Like,
Just go Marmish and just end with Illy. Just think of Milli Vanilli and Marmish and throw it all together, and you're absolutely fine. I was trying to think of the Milli Vanilli reference from last week, and I don't know what it was. Probably him, was it?
That was for him.
It was him, was it? Cool.
Yeah.
Because I was convinced it was for him, and then I was like, was there somebody else? Jesus, and I couldn't think of it. But actually, midfield, right?
Yeah.
I like the midfielders we have for different reasons. I like the midfielders we have. You can have arguments over a couple of them. A lot of people do. But I think just the makeup of it is quite a nice makeup of players and the way we were looking to play. But we went out and we tried to sign this specific player, right? And I'm not against Ryan Gravenberch growing into this over so many years. I've no problem with that, because it probably frees up the likes of a McAllister to go further up the pitch, and you bring a new signing in and put him beside Gravenberch. I've no issue with that. But again, Liverpool actively went to sign this player. They actively went to try. They wanted to pay the 51 million up front, and the player in the end got cold feet and decided against it. Liverpool, again, can't turn around and say, "Nah, listen, we're waiting on the right one." There's not only one, actually. Come on. There's just not.
No. And it's not like that's like an old Liverpool tactic. Like, I think back to last year, and we were going after Mount for a really long time, and they pivoted from Mount to Szoboszlai. Like, they decided that they were going to park Mount because he was too expensive, and they went and they paid Szoboszlai's release clause. So they had backups. This is not like something that we've abandoned that was from 3 or 4 years ago, back when Michael Edwards was in his pomp.
But even Casado, we did the same thing. We didn't get Casado, so they pivoted and got Endo and Gravenberch. You can argue whether they worked, but they went and got 2 when they didn't get Casado. So it's not.
So
new.
this idea that we're like one player or nothing, I don't know how true that is. That's the noise that's coming out of the club, but in practice, we haven't actually been doing that. We've been doing it with like the very, very high profile 6 for some reason. Like whether it's too many or not Camavinga, but Caicedo, excuse me. For some reason, our pursuit of the 6 has fallen short. But I don't know. I've got to believe that there's at least another midfielder in there. And maybe it's not a 6. Maybe there isn't a 6 in the market. And maybe if you're moving Gravenberch from the more advanced midfield roles back into the defensive midfield role, then maybe there's room for sort of an all-rounder in there. But it's not as black and white as I think what we're making it out to be.
Yeah. Because what Edwards used to do in his first time around when he was at the club was, if he didn't get the one he wanted in that specific position, he went to try and get best in class in another position. So it was like hide the weakness and strengthen somewhere else. So go and get, if say there's like a number 10, that's the best number 10 around, get that. Because then that's still strengthening your midfield. It's just in a different way. And then it gives you the option of trying Szoboszlai a bit deeper, but as well as Gravenberch.
I understand that. I understand that. And in a functional midfield, you can do something like that, right? Because if you, let's say you're going in, let's say, let's take it back a year or two, and say you're looking to, probably a year actually, and you're looking to replace Fabinho, right? In a functional midfield, and you can't get somebody that you want in there, you could say, right, well, I'm going to go for the best 8 I can in the world, right? The best 8 I can possibly get. Or else I'm going to, who I really like? Bruno Guimaraes off Newcastle. Just take him as an example. Don't take it so literally, people in the chat. Just this is an example, right? So what you do is you go and you get Bruno Guimaraes and you go like, this fella's up and down the pitch. He's excellent. He's all work, good on the ball. Boom, 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 boom. I think that's okay. I think the way Liverpool are trying to play football at the moment, though, if you go and get the best number 10 in the world, right, he's going to end up standing 30 yards up the pitch While Liverpool and Endo are down at the other end here trying to string 3 and 4 passes together, and it's not working. I've said it before. We're gone from the functional in midfield to the absolute spotlight. I'm telling you that now. We've gone from in the wings to the spotlight here, and the spotlight is on the guy that's going to knit it all together. It was on Gravenberch the other day, and he done really well. I watched the highlights back. He done really, really well and stuff he was doing, right? But it was against Ipswich. When we go in against Manchester United, who are a better side, right? And it's a more intense game. It's more people at it. It's a bigger stakes game. When we go in against City, when we go in against Arsenal, when we go in the Champions League, then you'll see what Ryan Gravenberch is made of. It's such a specialised position, right? And they've gone to try get somebody in that position. He's not going to get you a load of goals. He's not going to get you a load of assists, but he's going to knit this together to allow his fullbacks, the 2 guys in front of him, whatever it might be, to go and influence the game by dragging teams around and not losing the ball. But my argument is, if you've actively gone to do it, and now you haven't, you can't turn around and say, oh no, it's actually all right. We worked out that these lads are all right now. You still need one. Even if you look at the numbers, you still need one, because if you add them all together now, what have we mentioned? 6 there, have we?
6, because we're assuming more sort of budgeted to go in.
Right.
Yeah.
So 6 if those 2 are gone, and it's really 5 because Endo can't play in this system. Simply can't.
No, Endo is
Endo is your emergency
like a cup game at this point.
No, Endo's
he's
the
your
sort
James Milner Cup manager.
Yeah. He's the guy. He's the guy that when you're 2-1 up away from home, you're struggling a little bit to get hold of the ball, or you're struggling a little bit, with players drifting into different spaces. He comes on and he says, I'm going to stand here and I'm going to make sure no one gets through this area of the pitch. I'm going to win me tackles and I'm going to get it to the guys to try to keep the ball. But he's not going to play you out of trouble. He's not going to dictate a game for you. So you're down to 5. Realistically, you're down to 5 for 3 positions. It's not 2 positions, it's 3. And you're down to 5. And not one of them are a specialist in what he's trying to do. That's simply as it is. You know what I mean? If you get an injury to one of them, then you're down to 4. And your 4th man is Endo. So you're constantly going to have Endo on this pitch trying to do this. That's the truth.
And you're not going to have the youth players to pull in
No,
in
you're
a
not.
911 emergency or a whatever 999 emergency for you guys.
999 112.
Yeah.
I think you can press any 3 numbers on the phone. It just gets through to the police.
But yeah, if you're sending the youngsters out on loan, and I mean, I'm all for backing yourself with injuries and stuff, but having never actually played this many games in a season, like, I don't know how much you can realistically back yourself to, like, you're not God. You can't promise that no injury will happen. And if you are going to have 5 midfielders, you're going to use all 5 of them in one game, just rotating them with the 5 subs.
Yeah. This is the first year we've got this Champions League Swiss system, which is 8 games. And because I'm sad, I've got the list of the fixtures out, and when all the cup ones come in, and literally from September till about sorry, I can send it to you. From September till about mid-Feb, 3 games a week.
Yeah,
it's barely
100%. 100%.
And if you don't finish the top 8 to get to the quarterfinals, you got to play 10 games for the Champions League. That's by February.
Yeah. Before
you get back in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. And
you've got 2 of these games in the middle of January. So if you get to a League Cup semi-final, if you're that lucky, that's a horrendous month. So, he is going to have to rotate, which is why I think if you bring the centre-back in, I'd actually want a left-sided centre-back. Someone who could come in for Virgil. Because there's no way you keep asking to play 3 games a week. This
goes back to the centre-back thing. If you're going to sign a centre-back, or you need to you know what? You need to go to Joe Gomez and say, listen, Joe, we're putting you back in centre-half and you're going to play games. Because that guy can't keep fit. That guy's 19 years old. That guy's 33 and he's not playing 3 games a week. So you're going to play. We're going to... The chances are that Virgil plays 75% of the games this season. And use 3, right, are going to play between wherever Virgil leaves and the other part on the other side of the pitches, they're all going to get about 30% of the games each, right? So you're going to end up playing 20, 25 games this season. You know what I mean? And that's where they might have to go and do it. But that centre back, we're into midfield, and look, we've always said it. The Liverpool need to sign players, and look, I know that they're getting rid of players, but how many honestly do you think would have played for Liverpool this season? Like, I just don't think Sepp van den Berg. I think the thing with Sepp van den Berg is, I think the time is awful. Do you know what I mean? I actually think if you had signed a centre back, right, who was always fit, strong, and you saw Joe Gomez, you could basically say to him, listen, I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're putting you into the Joe Gomez spot. We're putting you in there. Do you know what I mean? But they haven't. So I think the time for him and the fact that I don't think his value is going to be probably any higher as a Liverpool player. And that's where they've gone there. You know, Bobby Clark, I feel sorry for Bobby Clark. I actually really do. And some of them may go out on loan. The one that interests me most is Bajcetic, because I feel he is probably a player that you could mould into. And we said this when we done these post-string shows. You mould him into that player that you say to him, listen, we're going to sign. If you sign Zubamendi, right, you could easily say, right, that's 6, and we're making Bajcetic your 7th, and he's going to be the guy coming on for Zubamendi. That's what we're going to do. We're not going to do Endo. We're going to put him on. That's what we're going to do. I feel sorry for him as well if that happens.
I still think loaning Bajcetic is sensible in isolation because he's missed a year of football. So I actually think going away for a year as a 6 and sort of, you know, doing it week in, week out will do him some good. If we'd got Zubamendi in, and actually I probably would have said to Morton, you hang around for a year.
Yeah.
Just to be a bit of a rotation option. But the fact we're getting rid of both surely screams they've got to do something. And to be honest, an attack, I actually think attacks actually probably got the most depth with 5.
But you see, Jono says something there. He says the optics are horrible. Selling a load of players for good money was bringing no one in, right? If we aren't going to bring anyone in, I'd rather keep these players around because I'm not getting that money. Yep. I see his point, because I think if Liverpool were sitting here with a centre back signed, say Zubamendi, right? Say a centre back and Zubamendi signed, right? You're kind of going, and Joe Gomez isn't leaving, by the way. So you've signed, if Joe Gomez is all right, and you're sitting there going, I'm adding a centre back, and I've added in Zubamendi, that gives us 7 midfielders, which means leaves Endo as your 7th option. You're kind of sitting there going, yeah, do you know what? They've done really well with them too. Something might come up, and we'll talk about the forwards in a few minutes. Something might come up in the forward line, but letting these players go is just the afterthought. You know, we've got what we want. We're okay to let these 3 or 4 go now, and then we continue on. The key word in what Jono says there is optics, and the optics of it is not great. But I don't mean to, you know, piss on people's parades, but Liverpool don't care about the optics. They're there to do what they're doing, and whether we agree with it or we don't, they don't care. They're going to do what they want to do. They're probably in a situation where they need players. They're in a situation where they're probably trying to be a bit too picky, maybe, but they're going to go and try to do what they're doing. And honestly, like, when it comes in 8 days and 23 hours or 2 hours, wherever world you're living in, whenever it comes down to it, and we've got rid of these players and nobody's come in, the optics are horrendous. I think the questions will be asked, but I always say it, these people will live and die on their decisions. You know, and people say, Slot is there and he's just told what to do by Richard Hughes. I don't believe that for a second. I don't think Slot takes that massive jump in his career to go, yeah, I'll just do what you tell me and you will dictate how my career goes. Because Arne Slot goes in there and it goes horrendously wrong. Arne Slot ends up getting a job somewhere in Turkey and you don't hear from him again because he'll be just out the door. It's such a big move for him that he'll want some assurances, as to who's going to make the decisions, and of course he has to be part of it. I don't always believe that these clubs just throw players at managers and have no say in it and go, here, you just deal with him. You know what I mean? I just don't do it. I don't believe it. Could be wrong. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. Actually, I'm going to start with you up front. Ben Doak was one of those on that list. Not a list, it was a tweet that came out today. Saying, a lot of these are expected to leave by next Friday, and we'll see what happens before now and next Friday. But on the forward line, I've always been in the opinion that I think he'll keep what he has unless one is to go, and then he might bring one in. I'm still kind of at that, but to make 2 moves happen in 8 days, one going out and one coming in, is fairly tight on time. Do you think we'll just end up at the end of this window with the the forwards that we have?
I mean, I'd be terrified if we lost more players on top of potentially Joe Gomez. If we start shipping Luis Diaz out just because there's a good offer coming in and we don't bring someone in, like we're just having this conversation all over again about like where are we with our squad depth. I hate the idea of like potentially rinsing some of our best players. And maybe it is because they're on the end of their contract. Like, but I personally would love to see like a someone that could step in for Mo Salah and give him a break when he needed to, or someone that could step in for Virgil and give him a break where he needed to, so we could really prolong their careers. But by not having backups for those players, that indicates to me that we're more than happy to squeeze every last drop out of them before they go next summer. And that again is one of those optic things that doesn't look great to me. I think we're fine at the moment. I think we could benefit from someone on the right side, like I said, to step in for Salah, because I do think Doak needs a loan. I think he needs to play week in and week out and work on his final ball. You know, but it's like, again, how many things are on this to-do list for this 8-day period? I don't know how many people are helping Edwards and Hughes and all of these folks, but I mean, they've got like 15 players that they need to go out and come in. And time's running out. Like, I was all optimistic a month ago, and my optimism is slowly shrinking.
Yeah, I think the optimism shrinks with every day that passes, because you know it's perceived that you know it takes weeks to get these deals done and stuff like that. The truth is, most clubs, when they're looking at deals, are looking at them months out, and then they really push the button on them in the summer. And you know, like when I look at the forward line, like I've seen Raheem Sterling's fucking name mentioned. Would you ever fuck off? Like, honestly, the guy's on 300 plus grand a week, right? His head's gone for football. It's gone. He's 28, 29 years of age, I think now. 29, I think he is. He should be in the prime of his career, still as an England regular, and he's dossing around Chelsea. I think he just played about 40 games last season. He got 7 goals for them. No, and it's just going back on history. It's going back on a fella that literally turns up at Anfield every year and gets absolutely pelted from the time he comes on, or from the time he steps on the pitch to the time he steps off, and to the point where Pep Guardiola had to leave him on the bench a lot of times and bring him on as a sub because they didn't want to throw him into what was the bleeding, you know, hell for him at Anfield. So no, that's not for me. But when I look at the weekend, I look at, you know, Jota, Salah, Diaz. Then I think, you know, Gakpo comes on, Nunez doesn't get off the bench, and you're kind of going, you know what, that's not bad. But when you're being realistic about it, Gakpo for Diaz, either or, I don't think get enough goals, right, between them in a season. I think if Jota stays fit, I think he'll have a brilliant season. And Salah does what he does. Nunez is the wild card. You'd have to see him. I'd probably have to see him for 10 games in this slot system to see how many chances he's getting and how many is he converting, to see what sort of numbers he's going to turn around. But Chris, it nearly tell me that it might be somewhere where Liverpool do go and go, you know what, we're bringing one more in. And I think it's probably going back to your point a little bit, where if you can't get that, you go to best in class somewhere else. But it's a different position completely on the pitch.
Just hide your weaknesses with a different strength, you know, try and outscore them. Because when I look at like City, their attack is Haaland, we all know, is brilliant. The Brazilian Saviola they've brought in, Grealish, Doku.
Is his name Saviola or Savio, or what's his name?
I'm not sure what his name. I took a guess.
I think it's like Savinho is his nickname.
Yeah.
And then it's Savio.
It's those four.
Because every time I think of Savio, I think of that little left-footed fella that played for Real Madrid.
Oh, he played for Monaco in 2005 against us as well, didn't he?
No, that's Saviola.
That's who I'm thinking of.
No, Savio was the little little blondie fella.
Yeah.
Anyway, go on.
They've got those four plus Oscar Bob, but he's out now until probably January. So with 3 games a week every week, you would argue they need more than those four. That's where I look at the depth thing. And if you look at Arsenal, they've got Jesus, Saka, Martinelli. They've still got Nketiah and the lad they got from Brighton, whose name escapes me.
Trossard?
The Belgian. That's it.
Oh, Trossard. Yeah.
Because of his name, the Belgian lad. So but if you look at them, I'm going, outside of Saka, there's not a consistent goal scorer there. Outside of Saka. So both of them, I'm looking going, I think they've got if I was doing their shows, I'd say that's where their depth questions is, because I actually think defensively and midfield wise, both of them have plenty of options, which can rotate for 3 games a week and they're absolutely fine. So the frustration for us is an extra attacker would be handy, but the priority should be defensive midfield.
Okay.
I think the attackers are nice to have. If we get one, brilliant.
But that's where I was, and I think the attacker is the sort where you just, if something if Barcelona come in, and I always mention Barcelona comes to Diaz because his dad never fucking shuts up about him, like in Barcelona.
Have you heard him?
But
they still can't register Olmo though, so
no, they're all over the bleeding place, But the thing is, like, if someone come in heavy on Diaz and said, look, we'll give you whatever it is, just pick a number, doesn't matter. Liverpool might go, leave it with us, and we'll see what we can go and do. But I'm wondering, do Liverpool just go and say, I don't think so, but Liverpool could go and say, we're just adding another one in. But I don't know how you justify that, because you're sitting there with 3 positions in midfield and you've currently 6 players for it. Will he go 3 attackers with 6 players for it? I'm not too sure. He has his 8 at the back at the moment, which is absolutely fine for numbers. But Joe Gomez is an absolute deal. Look, it's going to progress. We'll probably be on tomorrow night because we'll sign this goalkeeper, because nobody wants me to have a night off. I was literally sitting in the house last night going, please don't sign this fucking goalkeeper. I need a night off. And he didn't, but I'm nearly sure they'll do it tomorrow now. And if they do, we'll do a show on it. That's no problem. Just to let people know, we will be doing it. We should be doing one tomorrow. We should be doing one Friday. We're doing one from Liverpool on Saturday. We're doing one Sunday. Not after the match, but Sunday night we'll have a show. On Monday we're doing one from Liverpool, just having points and doing a show, and then we'll be back as normal next Tuesday. So just to let people know, just on the other squads, because we're sitting here and we're saying we need this, we need that, we're short of this, we're short of that. I have a feeling the vast majority of teams in the Premier League are going to go right up to the deadline here. Nobody sat back and went, that's the job done, good luck. Maybe West Ham, because they've signed a load of players. But I don't think there's anybody sitting around going, we're absolutely fine now, that's us done. We'll see us on the 4th of September.
I mean, even Chelsea are still trying to sign players.
Oh yeah, Mama Reska, Jesus Christ. Yeah, how did I not remember him? Go on.
Great crack.
Yeah, I mean, it's obviously, the window is obviously functioning in a different way than what we're used to. It seems like there's a lot of deals that are collapsing. There's a lot of deals that have kind of been on the table for a very long period of time that, I mean, I think Gallagher just got over the line, but I mean, that was a saga forever. You still have Mikel Merino that hasn't officially joined Arsenal. I don't know what City is doing. I mean, they're looking at that Celtic forward, I think.
Oh yeah.
So
Kyogo.
they seem to be operating a little bit in the shadows. So I wouldn't be surprised if they have a late signing as well. I mean, United are still looking at Ugarte. I think it's like a loan with an option to buy. I mean, if we're talking about them for top 4, that's a bit of a stretch. But yeah, a lot of our competitors are still doing business. I don't think anyone is going to tell their fans, like, we got everything that we wanted and more. I think West Ham is probably the standout, but you could see on the pitch the other day that signings doesn't equate to immediate success. That team looked very disjointed. And it's going to take a while for that many players to gel. And so, I mean, I'd still rather be in anyone else's shoes than ours, because everyone else has signed a player pretty much on the entire continent. So, I mean, hopefully, I don't know. I hope that it's not just the keeper, because if it's just the keeper, I don't know what I'm going to say at the end of the window. I'm going to be very disappointed. I don't know about you guys.
The thing is, like, when I'm looking around the other teams, I'm looking at, say, Arsenal. And Arsenal have signed Calafiori. And you can see what he's going to do there. He's going to bring him in. He's going to tell Zinchenko to piss off. You're not playing there anymore. But you're looking then, and Arsenal are struggling to do deals because of this Eddie Nketiah thing. They're trying to get rid of Eddie Nketiah, and they just can't get rid of him. And apparently, they need to get rid of him to, sign whoever they want to sign. They're close on PSR and stuff like that. And you look at City and you say to yourself, right, who's left City? And it is Julian Alvarez. That's the big one. They may bring somebody in like a Kyogo from Celtic. It's a bit of a weird one for me, but listen, he's very much a goal getter. Not really interested in playing football. Just get in the box, and he's a real threat. And you look at them and you say, okay, that's them too. Chelsea is just mad. Like Maresca's coming out today and he's saying, I'm not working with 40 players. I'm working with 21. There's 15 or 16 there. I'm not bothered what they're doing. And you're kind of going, mate, I think a lot of these 15 or 16 are actually signing in the last 12 months. Look, make me an offer on them. And it looks like Chelsea will have a big fire sale come the end of I think Chelsea are trying to rely on, look, we have really talented players. Yeah, they're on 8-year contracts, but teams will be desperate enough that they need players that they go and sign them from us. And I think that's their game plan at the minute. But again, you look at Chelsea the weekend, and all them players that played at the weekend, I don't think were any of them summer signings.
Not their starting 11.
No,
the summer signings did come on.
Yeah, there's a couple of signings come on, but there was nothing in the starting 11. It was, and you look at that, right? And then you look at United, and they've signed Mazraoui, they've signed De Ligt, they've signed Yoro's out, they've signed Xerxes, and you're kind of going, okay, but you have to wait and see what happens with them, because I just think that manager is just terrible. I just think he's terrible. He's just signing all of Ajax, hoping that they'll all come back together and go, remember we were great. Yeah, let's play like that. I genuinely think that's his tactic. And yeah, United have definitely improved with the players he brought in, because the players he had before that were fucking brutal. So they've improved. And then you look at like Newcastle, seen as a big threat to top four, and you're kind of going, who have they brought in? Who have they let go? And when I look around, and I'm not, and this isn't an excuse for Liverpool, I think Liverpool need 2 to 3 players. But when you look around, it's not like everyone's sitting there going, fucking hell, Liverpool are doing nothing, we've everything done. It's like everyone feels like they're going to go close to the end of this window, needing something quite obvious. Like Chris, you look at Spurs and you think to themselves, what do they need? They probably want 1 or 2 more. And it's not like that these 1 or 2 more that just fills out a squad. It feels like they need a player to really improve certain areas of our team. We're not the only ones. I think it's going to be a bleeding mad 7-8 days and 10 hours 55 minutes, Chris.
I think it is. I think it's going to be. I think every club will have deals they want to do. So I mean, well, we're all hopeful we're one of them. I must admit, I would be surprised if we get to the end of this window and we haven't signed anyone. I'm not counting that keeper.
Yeah, I'm not counting him either.
Because it just seems odd to sell all those players and just sit with a load of money in the bank and go, it's grand. Because it just doesn't. They haven't done that in the past. I don't see why we'd do it now. Even the summer where we only bought Sepp Van der Beek and Elliott. You know what I mean? But we didn't do mass sales like that. So it just feels to me like I don't think the plan was ever to be this quiet. My suspicion is there's been a bit of a poor execution. And I think they've learned that the hard way. And I'm hoping they can rectify it.
Yeah. Jono says, we aren't arsed with the players' rivals are signing. I 100% disagree. Go online and watch most comments about Liverpool's transfer business, and 9 people out of 10 will point out what other teams are doing. We're pointing out that they've done business well. We've spent 3 months hearing excuses, and no one makes more excuses. Liverpool haven't made a single excuse this summer. They haven't.
List the excuses, Jono.
No, Jono, they genuinely haven't. They've literally gone in for a player. They've got an agreement with a player, and then the players turned around and said no. Liverpool's problem there was they left it too long. They're currently in for a goalkeeper. Liverpool haven't made a single excuse. They haven't said anything. And that's the problem. That's the problem for a lot of people. They don't hear it. And again, I'll say it. I'm not disagreeing with your overall point of needing players. It's badly needed. And don't get me wrong, if we sign 3 between now and next Friday, whatever it is, you're 100% going to hear people going, well, they left it too late. Oh, but will we just give them back then? Honestly, they should probably have a player in by now, in my opinion. Midfielder should probably have a player in by now.
I think if you're signing 3 players in the last 10 days of the window, while it ultimately gets where you want to be, it does smack of poor planning.
Yeah, because it is that, but it's also, like you said earlier, we want that player and nobody else. Do you know what I'm saying? So if they wanted that player and nobody else, and now go and sign a midfielder, right? Then you're kind of going, well, when people were saying that they wanted only this player and this was the profile, were they telling us lies? Do you know what I mean? And let's be honest, they weren't going to lose out on Zubimendi last Monday and turn around and choose and go, we have another fella, he's done. Doesn't happen like that. It takes a bit of time. But the fact that he left it too long with Zubimendi has cornered them a little bit with regards to time of what they've left if they want to do it somewhere else. Let me see. I think that's about it. I think we're good. We've discussed plenty of stuff. Sepp Vandenberg does look like, as a few people have mentioned there, 20 million plus 5 million in add-ons. Brentford looks like it. He was being linked to a couple of clubs. Say again?
25 plus
20,
5.
20 plus 5, is it?
No. 25 plus 5.
Oh,
That's
is that
coming out.
Wow.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
25 plus 5.
The war chest is getting bigger, guys.
Well, all the numbers during the week, it turns out we're wrong. But look, like I said, and I keep saying it, when we come to, I think the window closes on the 30th. When the 31st comes, we'll see where we are, and everyone will be absolutely fucking losing the plot, and you've every right to, and I'll be kind of losing. I'll be kind of losing the fact that. Not losing the plot. I think I'll be kind of looking, going, tell you something, lads. You're very fucking brave to make them sorts of decisions. Let's see how that rolls for you. Especially guys in new roles in the club. I think it'd be easier for them to bring a couple of players in. And if it doesn't go quite well, you go, well, look, they're new players and we're trying to adjust. And I think people will be all right with that. But not bringing anybody in. And then it going badly, you're just making absolute rods for your own back. And it's a bit mad. David Rice says the deal for Sepp is insane business. 25 plus 5 is really good, because we spoke about it at the start of the season, and I think, or the start of the window, and was like, I think 15 was the number floating around. So to nearly double that, up front is it's really, really good business. But against that, you're just going to get, well, yeah, but what are you doing with it? You know what I mean? Like, I seen someone mention a yacht there earlier, and I was like, fucking hell. Yeah. Yeah.
There are two sides, though. There are two sides to what Hughes is doing. And that this is not me saying I think he's done a fantastic job in terms of incomings, but he has done a very good job in terms of outgoings. And
it was
getting money for some of these youngsters.
77.8 million apparently is the sale so far. And of course we do have add-ons to that, and we have add-ons and sell-on clauses then, and then we do have the odd buyback and stuff like that.
Loads of wages off the books as well.
Yeah.
So
with Thiago and Matip's wages were big, weren't they?
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but they've got. So if he brings 2 or 3 in and the squad's balanced, I suppose the ends justifies the means. But at the moment, I think the nervous is, if we still had Klopp here, we kind of know what he'd want with the squad. We probably would have done things sooner, because he wouldn't need to assess the squad, if you know what I mean. He knows the answer. And it's a new team that only started in July. So I think that's where the nerves is, because we don't actually know how they operate fully yet. We've got ideas, we've got assumptions.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is, like,
we're not used to being this late in the window going, there's nobody coming in.
And somebody in there earlier, and I apologise, because I was meant to press the button to bring it into a kind of a file to keep, and I forgot. But he said, like, if they don't sign anybody, right? This person was saying, Richard Hughes should come on to the press conference on the 4th of, on the Friday the 4th of, or the 34th, whatever date it is, and let him tell you why they haven't signed anyone. Because Richard Hughes was put front and centre beside Arne Slot with regards to the transfer window, and quiet in July, and it was quiet in July for everybody, and it's picking up in August. But I still think it'll go. This window feels like big deals will go right to the end. But I kind of agree with the fact that if Richard Hughes is going to come out and let us, let us be told this stuff in July, mid-July, he should come out at the end of August and go, yeah, look, we looked around, this is what's happened, and explain it. But will it happen? I'm not too sure. I'm really not too sure. Fran says, I just want to thank Ashley for her football knowledge. You two lads need to step it up. Yeah, fucking spot on, Fran. We're two fucking idiots, like, you know what I mean? Let's call a spade a spade. There was another one there. Gavin Walsh says, this bollocks of people who give different opinions as moaners is twisting my shit a bit. Everyone wants the best for Liverpool just because people are on different levels of wants for LFC.
It's not that.
Right, so the thing is, I don't think I've ever called people moaners on this show. I don't think. I'm all open for different opinions. 100%. We all sat here and agree with each other. It'd be boring. And I don't think we do. I find that a lot of people, the vast majority of people that come on this show and in the chat, have different views and speak very eloquently about them. They're measured. They know what they're talking about. Not that they know what they're talking about, but they know their views and they know how to put it across. That includes anyone on the show and anyone in the thing. What I'm struggling with that, Gavin, is the bit at the end, just because people are on different levels of wants for LFC. Now, that would say that that would kind of suggest that people want something more, or, is that a level of wants as in numbers of players? Is that? But I think everyone is on the same level of want. I just think they have a different way of going around it. And that's all right. As I said, if Gavin, if you come on here and 100 people like you come on here and told me everything was fucking great, and I sat here going everything was great, we'd be bored fucking stupid. I'd literally have to revert back to the Telegram group where we were giving each other tips on how best to clean windows the other day, and it was great. Like, I fucking loved it. It was actually
that was amazing knowledge.
It was like so much. I enjoyed it so much more than talking about football. Like, it was incredible. There was like lawnmower recommendations was going on. It was great. I loved it. Yeah, look, it's the thing is, like, and Gavin says I'm talking about the chat. Listen, the one thing about that chat is that people throw out their opinions, and there's arguments go on, but it's always quite respectful, and keep it like that. You know what I mean? We do on this channel, we do it a little bit. We do a little bit different, where we don't want to have this mad stuff just hopping around the place and saying stuff just for the sake of it. So keep it like that. But yeah, I think we've covered everything there. We've looked at Liverpool's squad. Like I said, we've 8 days and whatever left. We're going to be doing shows definitely, I'd say, tomorrow, possibly Friday, definitely Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and then we'll be back into it again from Tuesday onwards. One thing I do want to say before the show ends, though, is that talking about the chat and talking about Telegram and talking about viewers, listeners and stuff, I want to mention one person who's a long-term listener of the podcast, viewer of the podcast since we started on YouTube, long-time person in the chat as well and in the Telegram group, is Kevin Ball. We heard the unfortunate news that Kevin passed away a little less than a week ago. One of the guys that was in the chat, Steve, noticed that he hadn't seen him in a little while in the chat, and he kind of went and investigated a little bit, got hold of Kevin's brother, and yeah, Kevin confirmed that Kevin passed away last week. Young enough guy as well. No, we didn't ask about details or anything like that. We wanted to make sure that it was the same guy. We were genuinely checking on him as somebody that we always seen in the chat and we always interacted with, and yeah, it was one of those things that, shocked me, really shocked me. I never met Kevin personally. I knew him from chatting in the Telegram. I knew him from chatting in this chat, putting his comments up on the screen, agreeing with stuff, not agreeing with stuff, and it was it wasn't great news at all to hear today. And when something shocks you like that to someone you haven't met, it kind of hits you how close you become to people that you've never met. Like I feel like not that I know them, but I feel like, like Jono or Gavin or Just there, named Red, Steve, all these people are in the chat. Never met them personally, but I feel like I know them. I feel like if they ever needed anything, they could come and message me or message anyone. But it was awful, and when Steve contacted his brother said, yeah, that it is true, and he said he absolutely loved the show. He loved the channel. He loved the shows. He loved the chat. He loved everything about it. He was always banging on about it to his brother and his family, how good we were and the lads in the chat were. So I just want to say to Kevin, he'd be badly missed. To his family, our condolences. And it's terrible news. So we wanted to say just to say rest in peace to Kevin, and to his family, our condolences. And you know what? If we brought some good to Kev, and at least we have that, it's one of those. It's just awful news. So this show is for Kevin Ball, and yeah, I hope I just wish his family all the best. I don't know what else to say. I was completely taken by this earlier when Steve got on to me. But that's all we can say. And you know what? If I don't know if if anyone knew Kev or ever kept in contact with him. But if you want to send us a message for Kev, we can get it onto his, send it onto his brother and send it onto his family, because it seemed like not us, this channel, and that shot played a big part in his everyday life. So if you have a message for him, leave it in the comments after the show. If you want to email us, you can email us, and I guarantee you, I will put them together and send them on to his family. All right, we leave it there. It's not the best note to leave it on, but I thought it was important that Kevin Ball got the last word on the show tonight. I didn't want to start it out and forget about it. I wanted to give Kevin Ball the last show on it. I believe, I'm just seeing that his brother may be in the chat there. He is, so I'll read it out. He says, thanks very much for the kind words. He loved the show so much and would always make sure he never missed a show. As a CE fan, he would let me join in case he would never let me join in case I said something. Yeah. Look, Declan, like I said, there's plenty of people going to want to give us messages, and if they do, we will send them on to you. And again, our sincere condolences to you. That has been the Talkin Kop for tonight. Thanks to Ashley, thanks to Chris, thanks to everybody in the chat, and we will talk to you soon. Over and out.